A disturbing discovery at a San Antonio business. An employee says he found a human skull along this fence line. We'll hear from him tonight.
Plus, nearly 3 years after he was arrested and charged, a man has been sentenced for a murder that happened back in 2022.
Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
Just imagine that you're doing your job when you come across a human skull. That's what happened to a man as he was cutting the grass just outside of his job. The Night Team's John Paul spoke with him earlier. He joins us now live from where that skull was found. JP, did they find anything else?
Well, Stephanie, we're here at Harold's Commercial Plumbing off of North San Jacinto along I-10. And right here where these dog bowls are at, that's where the employee said that he found the human skull. We're not going to get any closer, just out of precautions that this dog here gets territorial. However, that employee also said that a detective told him that the rest of the remains were found along a creek that is just behind us.
I never thought in a million years that I would find something like that.
Cutting the grass at Harold Commercial Plumbing turned into a frightening find for Walter Stevens. He says a human skull was along their fence line.
You actually picked up the skull?
Yes.
Not knowing?
Not knowing that it was a skull. I saw what looked like a dried cantaloupe or something, so I picked it up. The bottom part of the jaw stayed down there. And I turned it over, I saw the teeth, I was like, oh my God.
He immediately let his employer, Brad Harrell, know, who then called San Antonio police. They and the medical examiner's office both made their way to the business and were seen removing what looked like human remains.
You don't think you're gonna see a human skull ever, really. I mean, I've never seen one. And there was no skin or anything on it. It had been decomposed for a while.
Brad and Walter say they often walk in that area and don't think it could have been there very long.
Either somebody picked it up and dropped it off there, or some type of animal picked it up and dropped it off there, because it wasn't like knee-high grass where, you know, it was cutting the grass and whoa, hey, there it is.
They explain the skull was found by water bowls that are left out for neighborhood dogs. As for the rest of the remains, Brad says detectives told him they were found along the creek behind his business. He says although it's a sad situation, it does put things into perspective.
Life is short.
A reminder.
Yeah. Live every day to the fullest.
Now, right now, details on the remains are still limited. SAPD is investigating, however, and the medical examiner's office does have an open case, although no details and no information have been made available up to this point. Stefania?
Well, JP, we'll keep asking. Thank you. Now, the man that you see on your screen is Fernando Gonzalez Canedo. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison for the shooting death of a 19-year-old back in 2022. The victim in this case was Luis Mario Garcia. Back in December of 2022, San Antonio police found Garcia with multiple gunshot wounds on Roundtree Lane near I-35 and Randolph Boulevard. Surveillance video showed Canedo in a car near the scene before the shooting and then running from the scene afterwards. And according to authorities, Canedo staged a fake robbery about 5 miles away, claiming that he had been shot. But investigators are saying that DNA and evidence from social media and cell phone data, that's what led them to Canedo. 38 years behind bars for the man accused of killing a Georgia man back in 2019. As part of a plea deal, Colin King admitted that he killed his co-worker, Shane Jean-Louis Beret. His body was found buried in the backyard of an empty home on the west side. King was arrested in Mississippi, then extradited to San Antonio, and was then charged with murder. 59-year-old man is in custody after a 6-hour-long standoff over on the east side. And according to the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, Manuel Sanchez had 2 warrants out for his arrest. A spokesperson with the Sheriff's Office said that SWAT officers, quote, deployed quite a bit of gas to get into that home. And when they did, they say they found Sanchez hiding under a trapdoor. They took him into custody. Sanchez, at the time, as we told you, was wanted for 2 warrants. One was felon in possession of a firearm, and the other one was theft under $750. But then after today's standoff, he could be facing more charges. This was a really rough weekend for families across San Antonio. 4 people lost their lives and 6 others were injured in unrelated shootings across the city. Among the victims is a 35-year-old man who was shot after a fight. We're told that another man died after a shooting at a downtown parking garage, and 2 other men died after a shooting at an apartment complex on Callahan Road. 6 other people had to be taken to hospitals after being shot. The San Antonio Police Department sent KSAT a statement calling the incidents, quote, isolated. and also maintaining that the city is safe. The statement said in part, quote, "Our officers are committed to keeping San Antonio safe as reflected in our crime stats. Homicides are down compared to last year, and crimes against persons are down almost 10% year to date," end quote. According to SAPD, there have been 83 homicides so far this year compared to 86 at the same time last year. A man is recovering tonight after a car fell on him. Happened in a neighborhood just outside of Loop 410 near Marbach Road, which is on the west side. San Antonio firefighters, say that the man was underneath the car doing some work on it when it just came off the jack and landed right on him. They say that he was trapped for about 5 minutes before he was taken to the hospital. But right now, at this point, we don't know the extent of his injuries. Of course, we'll keep asking. Switching gears right now. All right, time now is 10:06, 81 degrees out there. Adam, we did get some rain earlier today. Which were the lucky areas of town?
Well, as usual, closer to the Gulf Coast line, but even parts of eastern Bexar County had a little bit of rain, a few rogue downpours. This was that 10% chance that Justin was talking about earlier this morning. Take a look at our radar estimates. You see most of the action, the greens and blues southeast of town, from Kennedy to Cuero to southeastern Lavaca County, Victoria included. But you get a little closer, and we had around a quarter of an inch not far from Lavernia. Sutherland Springs about 0.15 of an inch. But the real winner today, China Grove. Radar estimates of about half an inch. This is between Highway 87 and New Sulphur Springs Road here. You see Foster Road, Lane Drive. So that was one rogue shower that happened to pay off for far eastern Bexar County and China Grove. Pretty quiet the next several days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, maybe a few drops from some of the afternoon clouds, but that would be it. It's Friday into the weekend and early next week where we up the chances a little bit, 20 to 30% chance. We'll talk about the shift in the weather pattern that's going to cause this and what we're watching in the tropics in just a bit.
Adam, thank you. So many of us have seen the torrent of negative comments online after the death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. And the Texas Education Agency wants to make sure that public school teachers aren't taking part in all of that, because if they are, Agency Commissioner Mike Morath says that the TEA could sanction them. The thing is that Morath hasn't quite clarified what's quote unquote unacceptable when it comes to comments. And that's where Zeph Capo comes in. He's the president of the Texas American Federation of Teachers. And he's asking why the TEA is specifically focusing on the reaction to Kirk's death, because he thinks that politics is what's behind this.
The ones that I've seen so far, myself, have not, in my opinion, risen to that level. I'm not saying that they're not out there, because we certainly do not condone violence against anyone, period.
Morath, meanwhile, releasing a statement saying in part, quote, "While all educators are held to a high standard of professionalism, there is a difference between comments made in poor taste and those that call for and incite further violence, the latter of which is clearly unacceptable." End quote. He also said that he'd be recommending that such teachers have their certification suspended, which would make them ineligible to teach in Texas public schools. New tonight, Uvalde CISD will continue to use legal services from the same law firm that represented a former district police officer, despite concerns of a possible conflict of interest. Court records show that attorneys from Thompson and Horton, Representative Adrian Gonzalez, a former Uvalde CISD police officer who's facing charges in connection with the Robb Elementary School shooting. Last week, the school board voted unanimously to hire that same law firm to represent the district. Tonight, board members agreed that the superintendent should bring in an independent ethics attorney to review whether the firm has any conflicts in cases that are tied to the Robb Elementary School litigation. Now, staying with the Uvalde CISD, its schools are going to be closed for most of the week because of a suspected cyber attack. Maybe you saw this online. District officials are saying that the ransomware has been found in the district servers, and they're saying that this hack affects systems that are crucial for safety and security. We're talking about things like phones, visitor management systems, also the central camera monitoring location. And while the district investigates, school campuses are going to remain closed through Thursdays, and then classes should resume on Friday. If you've ever heard of ransomware, it's basically online activity where your network and the devices on that network get infected with malware, then encrypted, and then someone demands a ransom from you. So how do you know if your computer's been hit? Well, there are signs. First, your screen usually freezes up, then a pop-up appears saying that your computer's been taken over. And sometimes a countdown clock appears telling you to pay up. To keep yourself safe from ransomware attacks, just be aware of who's sending you emails. Do not open attachments from people that you don't know. And also be careful about clicking on shady websites. Also, experts are saying, do not pay the fee.
You may pay the ransom and you'll never get the key that unlocks your files. And also, if you pay the ransom, often that marks you as a target. That is, oh, look, they paid once, and so you'll get hit again.
That's the main piece of advice that they give you. Just don't fall for that. Also, according to Norton Ransomware Protection, ransomware attacks actually surged by 50% in the last 3 months of last year. On a happier note, a lighter note, still ahead, the boys of the Banana Ball League took a break from their schedule to meet some very special fans. Also, an intensive care nurse attacked by someone that he was taking care of. It's a crazy story, and it's coming up right after the break. Welcome back. His job is to take care of patients, but then last year, James Roy became one. He was a nurse over in the Northeast Baptist Intensive Care Unit when San Antonio police say that a patient assaulted him. Police say that Roy's head hit glass doors and then the patient put him in a headlock. And Roy's wife described what it was like seeing her husband in the ICU right after that attack.
Legs were a little bit bruised over here, his neck. I could see like 4 hands over here like that he had.
Took more than a year for the suspect in this case to face charges. And the Roys actually hadn't learned about it, that is, until KSAT Investigates Daniela Ibarra started asking questions. Tomorrow on the Nightbeat, we're going to ask the Bexar County District Attorney's Office about that delay. Why did it take so long for them to find out? The 12th annual Head for the Cure 5K is coming up, so we want you to mark your calendars because the event is aimed at raising awareness and also money for brain cancer research, a cause that is near and dear to our hearts here at KSAT because the event also honors our late news director, Jim Boyle. So race day is on Saturday, September 27th. Things kick off at 8 a.m. at Providence Catholic School, just down the street from KSAT. And if you visit ksatcommunity.com, we have a link for you right there where you can register. Good luck. After a busy weekend playing sold-out games, players from the Party Animals and the Texas Tailgaters brought the energy over to patients at Christus Children's. They were greeted by staff, patients, and the hospital facility's dog. The Banana Ball boys played games, they made slime, they learned dances, as you can see there, and also they read stories to the kiddos. And for the patients who weren't there, who couldn't see the players, well, guess what? The teams took care of that too because they recorded some video messages. Very nice. And look at how excited those kids are.
Not to mention Balapino making a visit there too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Balapino.
The dog from the hospital.
Yep,
right?
yep.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Okay, so we're gonna get a few changes. Okay, I've been keeping my fingers crossed for more rain because I didn't get rain where I live. Any chances of that?
Not really. Next couple of days, I think we're going to be dry, and then we get Friday into the weekend. That's when our luck may change a little bit. I mean, don't get too excited. We're out looking at a huge pattern shift where we're just chomping at the bit. This is some hope, glimmer of hope. So let's take a look at the main headlines. Dry the next few days. Basically tomorrow all the way through Thursday, we're looking dry and sunny. Temperatures not far from average. Friday, a subtle shift in our weather pattern gives us a glimmer of hope for rain Friday through the weekend and into early next week. So here's what we're talking about. The upper level high, the big blue H, right here over far west Texas and northern Mexico. Okay, this is still influencing our weather, but it's slowly going to drift enough westward where it opens the door for little rain-making disturbances to move overhead because the steering flow up above us is coming in from West Texas and New Mexico. Not only will that open the door to little ripples in the flow to help potentially generate rain, but also the West Texas wild card, this kind of flow and the pattern that we're seeing set up can kickstart showers and storms in West Texas and New Mexico. And those can sometimes organize, and this happens just on a whim, and then we get the leftovers of that organized complex. So a little bit of a wild card there too that we'll be watching. Rainfall potential. Now, by and large, most of the rain is going to be up the plains north of Texas, all the way through the Dakotas and Minnesota. But around here, we still have that slight potential. We're talking 20 to 30% chance Friday through the weekend and even into the early part of next week. I mean, it's nothing significant, but it's something. I want to get to the tropics because, climatologically speaking, we're not far from the peak of hurricane season in the Atlantic Basin. That's September 10th, so 5 days ago. Usually we'd see a bit more activity over the past week or two, but we really haven't. There is an area, though, that we're watching way out in the Atlantic. This is that tropical wave we were talking about last week that was still over Africa. Well, over the weekend, it came out over the open ocean. 90% chance that could become the next tropical cyclone, a tropical depression, tropical storm, potentially even a hurricane. Even if that happens, too early to tell if it could even impact land. We look to the Eastern Pacific because the Pacific hurricanes sometimes give us the leftover rain-making energy and upper-level tropical moisture, just like a couple weekends ago. 70% chance of development are right down here, this cluster of storms that you see forming just south of Mexico. And we also have Tropical Storm Mario. Not much left for Mario here. It's pretty weak, and it's going to continue to weaken as it parallels the Baja Peninsula. No indications that we could get any leftover rain-making energy or moisture from any of those systems, but we're watching the tropics just in case. 92 our high temperature today. Notice the average is 90. We'll be just a few degrees above that in the days ahead. Across the state, we're mostly into the 90s. The hot spot was Texarkana at 98, but even upper 80s in the Panhandle. And when you talk about the average afternoon high temperature, it's at its warmest level in August. We're starting to round that bend where we see that average afternoon high drop. And by this time next month in October, it'll be in the lower 80s for the climatological average. Now, when it comes to 100-degree days, I really do believe that odds significantly favor triple digits in the rearview mirror behind us. We had 20 this year, 27 last year, and of course the record-breaking year, 2023, 75. We'll never forget that. Temperatures falling off pretty efficiently this evening, down into the 70s, near 80 right now. 73 in the morning, 85 at noon, 92 the high temperature. We really have just more of the same the next few days. Mornings, or next several days, I should say. Mornings in the low 70s and afternoons in the lower 90s. Check back for updates on those rain chances.
Okay, thank you. Week 4 of high school football.
It's here.
Wow.
Time
already.
flies. I know.
It's been a lot, yeah.
And we have a big game for our game of the week. We are starting to get heavy into district play now. This is a district opener for Smithson Valley and Bernie Champion. It's our game of the week. We're going to preview it. And Monday Night Football, it was certainly a bummer for the Houston Texans coming up.
No matter when the ball, what day, what time, football is football. So that's what we got to go do. We got to go play good football no matter when, no matter where.
The where was NRG Stadium. The when was tonight for D'Amico and the Houston Texans in Big Board Sports. So the Houston Texans hosted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football, as seen live here on KSAT 12. First quarter, Texans strike first. C.J. Stroud, there was a beautiful ball to Nico Collins for a 29-yard touchdown reception, and the Texans lead 7-0. I mean, that was close, right? So the play was reviewed to make sure Nico was in bounds, and on this replay, it certainly looks like he had both feet down, controlled the ball. There certainly was not enough to overturn the call. Touchdown stands, and the Texans are feeling good, but the Bucs will come back and score the game-winning touchdown with less than 10 seconds left in the fourth quarter. 2-point conversion was no good, so the Bucs beat the Texans tonight by 1 point, 20-19. And in the second game tonight, the Chargers are leading the Raiders 17-6 late in the second quarter at last check. It is week 4, and our game of the week this Friday night. We'll see the 2-1 Smithson Valley Rangers at the 2-1 Bernie Champion Chargers, and it's a District 13-5A D1 opener for both. Let's start with the defending state champs from Spring Branch. The Rangers beat Roosevelt in week 1, 62-6. They lost to Brennan in week 2, 30-21, and they bounced back last week, beating Madison 42-10. It's the start of district play, but just another game for the Rangers.
We're excited to start district play. Played a lot of good teams like Brennan, Madison, Roosevelt. Those are all some solid programs. We're excited to get started against Bernie Champion.
It's just another game to us. We're just going to practice the same way we do every week. Really, the biggest thing is we just have to be ready for these upcoming next 8 games with this. We have a very tough district, and so that's kind of we just have to really make sure that we're locked in this week and every week, because we're not going to make any opponent bigger than they are.
I mean, we're treating it like any other game. Obviously just preparing like every other time. Like we got Monday practice this week or today. But yeah, it's really the same as every other game that we got.
Photog Mark got the Bernie Champion around 6 this morning. They catch up with the Chargers before the sun came up. Bernie Champion is 2-1. They opened the season with a 58-10 win at United South, a 42-21 victory at Medina Valley. And last week, they lost at home 35-28 to Laredo Alexander. Up next, the Rangers.
Yes, sir, absolutely. We like the challenge, so it's be good.
Just can you expand on that a little bit?
Yes, sir. They're a great team coming off state championship, but, we're tough. We're accountable, so we're going to come out and give them a fight.
Great team. Obviously, Coach Atkins used to be here last year. We're blessed for the opportunity to come out and play a former state champion and the former runner-ups. I mean, it's a great opportunity for us, and it's a blessing to be in the district with them.
I mean, yeah, I believe they're a good team. So, but it's going to be they're going to get our best game. We're going to get their best game, and we're going to be good.
Smithson Valley Bernie Champion is our game of the week Friday night at 7. And checking out the road trip, it kicks off in Charlotte before going to Pleasanton, and the road trip will end the night in Poteet. The best of big game coverage week 3 coming up after the break.